Right. Welcome to another expert interview. Really excited to have Julie on with us today. It's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm really excited to see where this goes. So let's jump straight into it. Julie, why don't you let everyone know who you are and what you do?
Oh, my pleasure, Devin. I am a certified health coach, and I apply the skills that I learned as a teacher of actually 30 years, which is a good long career. But I apply those skills that I learned to help, individuals, especially business owners, to be their very best, to live their best life. And if you really think about it, those kind of main sectors of life, our businesses, our relationships, both business and personal, our finances, all of them really do depend on our health. Health is at the center. Our The amount of vitality and energy that we have to be able to do all the things that the day demands of us. I take the skills that I learned as a teacher. I'm a certified health coach, and I've been practicing for almost 3 years now. And so I just, mesh those things together to support individuals with what they need, what they're coming with, and, what their strengths are. And we just go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for making time. I know you're busy and I've appreciated getting to know you over the years and hearing all of your tidbits and takeaways. Health is such an important topic. I know, on my own entrepreneurship journey, it's the thing that gets neglected first. And it's the hardest thing to turn back on in my experience. Yet when I turn it back on and I'm consistent with my workouts and my eating and meditation or whatever that looks like for each individual, the energy levels are higher, the performance is higher, and the results are better. So it's one of those you
Of
got to do
course.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, it's just everyday life, whether it's business or raising a family, it takes a ton of energy. And all those things you mentioned help to build our energy levels, right? And help us to perform better, whether it's, at business or life. We just want to be as healthy as we can be to enjoy life as much as we can.
Agreed there. Well, let's talk trends. I know there's a million trends in the health space, but what are some trends you're seeing that people should pay attention to or might be worth paying attention to?
Well, especially after the year that we've just been through, it became very apparent that if you don't take care of yourself, not much else really matters. It's very common to see that, those folks, whether it's a COVID virus or just a regular flu virus, the folks that take better care of themselves, they're going to weather things much better than those that don't. So after this year that we've been through, it became very apparent: the better your health, the better your immune system, the better you're going to weather things. And what can we get done when we're sick in bed? You don't have the energy, and you just can't really do much of anything. So, if I think about myself, as an example, as I said, I was a teacher. I was a bilingual teacher for 30 years. And, when I was in my, late 30s to late 40s, things started falling apart because I hadn't taken care of myself. And it takes a while for your body to show the effects, right? But I went through a period of time where I was really not well. I would get bronchitis a couple times a year, and you'd have to sleep sitting up because you'd be coughing so bad. I'd get migraine headaches. My body ached. I had bad knees. Just on and on and on, because I hadn't taken care of myself. I didn't really know exactly what to do. And then when you look at, once I started with supplements, and that was the beginning of my upward spiral. But I started learning at that point, how to eat properly, what to do. And once your body feels better, then it is amazing, how much more you can do, right? All of a sudden I started running when I took my dog out, and it was like, oh my God, I hate running. What am I doing? But when your body feels good, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And so, the trend that I see, people are much more aware that the better we take care of our body, the healthier we're going to be, the more that we're going to be able to do. So, once I started nourishing myself, just all my issues disappeared. And I'm 65 now. And I tell you, I can run circles around my 45-year-old self. So, I think it's a good trend, people wanting to take care of themselves.
I think you're right. I mean, that is something I've heard consistently doing these interviews is, I think the pandemic or any severe virus makes people look at the world different, right? Whether that's your personal health. I've talked to quite a few financial people, and what are you doing with your money? How are you investing? What's the diversification look like? So it's a positive outcome, right? Like I know it's not a time many of us want to go through, but it does bring to light things that are important. So it's good that you're seeing that as well. Let's talk about the busy entrepreneur, right? So I know that, that could be the business owner or just the high level professional, they're chasing the career, chasing the money, chasing the growth. And, often that turns into really long days, maybe a lack of sleep and quick eating habits. What's the conversation look like? Like, how do we start resetting, or what's your advice or guidance, or where do you start the conversation?
It's such an important thing to talk about because, business owners are faced with so much. There's so much that they have to do and juggle and be, right? So I always start my conversation with what's working. It's an individual. When I am coaching, it is very individual based, right? What's working for you right now? We don't want to, start all over. It's like, okay, let's take the pieces that are working. So we have that conversation, but most everyone needs to add in nutrition. It is critical because that's the base of our wellness. We want to get to exercise, of course, and good sleep and reducing stress and all those things we know are going to support our health. But really, we have to start giving the body what it needs. If you think of a car, a vehicle, you don't put in gasoline, you throw water in the tank, what's going to happen, right? So we have to give our body what it needs. And so I just try and break that down and make it super simple. I find out, what foods do you like, what foods don't you like, right? And how can we start to add in nutrition, because that is our fuel. And then I look at, what are some of the issues that you're having? What are you feeling? If it's stress, which wreaks havoc with our body, and I don't know a business owner that doesn't have a ton of stress, right? It's just part of the game. And so, I talk to my clients about that, and how do we deal with that? What are some things? And there are actually tons of foods that really help mitigate the effects of stress. So we just take where that client is, but nutrition really comes first. And just a couple quick ideas. Having a smoothie is such an easy way of just starting your day with tons of nutrition. You want to get in some sort of a quality protein, and so you can use, there's lots of good quality protein powders out there. If that's the easiest for you, then that's a great way to go. But you can throw in a handful of spinach, and you're not going to taste it if you don't like it, but leafy greens are one of the best things that we can put in our body. So throw in a handful of spinach, throw in some protein powder. I like to use an almond milk because it makes it creamy, right? Throw in some frozen blueberries. Blueberries are one of the best antioxidants you can put in your body. And stress causes that oxidative stress, right? It's causing damage, basically. So blueberries repair that. Antioxidants repair that damage. So, you throw those in a blender, and, different ideas of things you can add in. I counsel people with, but that's such a great base. And then you start your day with incredible nutrition, as opposed to, I don't have any time, let me go buy Starbucks, I'll grab a coffee, I'll grab a latte, I'll grab a sweet bread or something. And then you set yourself up for that horrible roller coaster of, sure, high carb, low carb energy drain.
Some great advice in there, and I love the smoothie recommendation. I think that's, we can't ask you guys to jump from 0 to 100 today, right? And I love that your approach is, one, let's self-assess. I think that's phenomenal advice, whether that's health, whether that's your finances, whether that's relationships. Like, you got to understand where you're at. Like, what do you know you're doing well? What are you not doing well? Love that. That's phenomenal. And then the smoothie's great, and great advice on what's in there. I know that was an easy change for me, is like, hey, instead of grabbing that protein bar and running out the door, like let's get a smoothie, let's get some fresh stuff in there. And, you can even prepackage some of that stuff and throw it in the freezer, right? Make it easy for yourself. Um, that's awesome. And then, what else, right? I know stress, you're right. Stress is one of those things you got to pay attention to. And my body, that's where I see it the most. Like, the weight fluctuation, man, the weeks I'm stressed, I feel it, you know?
Absolutely. Well, it is a huge damager. And if you don't do something over time, you will get sick. I mean, it leads to, oh my gosh, so many different issues. It can elevate your heart rate. It can lead to, bad headaches and your whole gut health. I mean, that's another huge piece, your GI tract, right? And when that's out of whack, your whole body's out of whack. There's a huge connection between your gut and your brain. And for business owners, you have got to be on it all the time. And if you have that foggy brain or you're crashing in the afternoon, well, you're not going to be as productive. But with stress, I mean, another really simple thing to do is a breathing pattern, and that is going to calm your body down, just boom, immediately. So if you take in big deep breath where you really feel your stomach expand to a count of 4 to 7, and then you hold it for like around 7 to 8 counts, and then you blow the air out for a little bit longer, for a count or two that took you to hold your breath. So uh 4 7 7, basically 4 7 8. So you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, you breathe out for 8, right? That, what it does to your whole body physiologically, is amazing. And you can just feel it. You can feel your heart rate coming down, the tension coming down. So anybody, when you're feeling stressed, if work isn't going right and you're frustrated, if you'll just take a minute just to do a few easy, quick, deep, relaxing breaths, huge what it does to the body. As a teacher, just a quick story. The kids, I taught first grade, for most of my career. And the kids would go out to recess, and they always had some sort of first grade conflict, right? Somebody said something and made me upset, and I said something and did something I shouldn't have done. And they would come in crying from recess, so upset. Their heart rate, their breathing rate was just off the charts. And so I would just hold my hand out and say, blow on my hand. They probably thought I was crazy, but I say, blow on my hand. What did that do? They had to take a deep breath. So they take a breath and they blow on my hand. And I said, oh, a little bit harder, do it again, do it again. And so after 3 or 4 of those, oh, they were calm and we could talk about what happened, right? So we want to give ourselves that same gift, because you got to stop that damage. And that's one way. Yes, do your smoothies, get some nutrition in your body. But when you're feeling stressed, that's an excellent quick way just to calm your whole body down. It works great.
I love the timeout approach, right? Whether it's, taking those deep breaths or in conflict, right? Like, hey, just take a moment because it's typically never as bad as you think. And same thing, like that stress, you got to find a way to get it to release it and give it permission to like, hey, let's slow down for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think accountability is critical, right? I think that's, in my own journey, that was the hardest part, right? Is, yeah, I can read a blog, yeah, I can watch a video, I can follow a trend, I can whatever, and you do that a day, you do it a few days, but then you miss, right? And then the miss is the excuse to miss again. And then all of a sudden you blink and, in my case, I remember, for breakfast, it was like a protein bar, and then it was a bowl of like canned soup for lunch or fast food. And then dinner was high salt with very little veggies. And, all of a sudden, it's like 20 pounds later and you're like, whoa, I'm fatigued, I'm bloated, and there was no gym, and it's just real, so this is an area, and in all areas, my recommendation is always, right? If you can afford it and it makes sense, seek advice, seek counsel, and find an accountability partner, because that's where you're going to be able to help guide them. So can you talk about some success stories? I'd love to hear, I just love to hear some success stories. Like what's a client that you just like feel very rewarded in their journey?
Yeah, I so many great stories, but if I could just back up one quick step, is something that you were saying is, change. You're talking about creating new habits. And that's what's so critical. Change, we're actually hardwired to resist change. We have part of our brain is called the amygdala, right? And when we start to change things up too quickly, it sends these alerts out, right, to our body, and it sends us running. I call it our critter brain. The little chipmunks, they go, oh, the sky's falling, right? And they run away and hide. So when I'm coaching, it's really very much one step at a time.
Mm.
We add in one thing and we do it because we're creating new habits. I am a habit change coach, right? So it's doing that in. And when you do that, you do have great success. So, gosh, uh someone who is a business owner who has kind of a high pressure job for sure. And we had talked forever. He had heard me speak before, and it was always, yeah, I really should do something about it, right? Well, it wasn't until he ended up in the hospital,
Mm.
with his heart racing and issues, and on and on. And then he called and he said, okay, I need to do something. I said, okay, great, you're motivated. I like that. So we took it one step at a time, right? And as I said, we just add in. I don't tell my clients, don't do this, stop this, stop this, stop. No, we add in the good one step at a time, and then your body takes over and it starts to crave the good. And so this fellow who had bad eating habits, just fast food and eating out all the time, and not quality food, he was probably maybe 30 pounds overweight, and had all those issues that go with that. So, gosh, I've been coaching him, and I think it's a couple months now at least, but he is down 25 pounds.
Ooh.
He is off the chart with how he feels, how he used to feel, how he feels now, his energy, his ability to focus at work, his exercise. His body wants to move where before it hurt, aches, right? Because all of that, bad habits causes tremendous inflammation throughout your body and your brain. So it's affecting all of it, right? And so once you clean things up, it's just amazing. And he says all the time, oh my God, I am so grateful, I'm so happy, because he's got his life back. And I think that's what you were talking about. You notice that when your habits just slowly got bad, how you felt, the 20 pounds later, right? And the energy and the sleepiness and all that sort of thing. And when you dial it back, start giving the body nutrition, it happens really fast how much better you feel. So that's one example of a client,
It's
and it's just so fun.
Well, and that's great because it's that reminder of like, you can't retire on retirement day without planning for retirement, right? You can't get to the end and then all of a sudden want to do something about it. It's the same thing with health, right? Let's hope you don't end up in the hospital as your wake up call to remind you that, your body is what's driving you, right? So, I know I've had family members do that, and that's the wake up call. And it's like, man, it's that should be the reminder for everyone in the circle looking around going, oh, hey, you know what? I need to make a better decision today. And just a decision. Again, guys, this isn't something we're telling you go run out and change it all tomorrow. Like, just start making some positive habits, go seek advice and have conversations. Cause again, that's the thing I think in the health industry I've always found interesting is like, here's the solution. There is no solution. It is based on your body, your lifestyle, your workload, your sleep habits, your family structure, your everything, right? Now there's good principles, but like it's got to be you, right? You have to take your own advice and really look at how it fits your life. So I love that. Let's avoid that. If you guys are listening to this, please, maybe the challenge is let's change one thing tomorrow. Just think of something you could change in your day. Whether it's taking those breaths to relieve stress, whether it's making that smoothie, whether it's just grabbing one snack that's different, like grab the carrots instead of the cookies, grab some berries for dessert instead of the chocolate, whatever that looks like.
Absolutely. One step at a time. Otherwise we can't sustain change. It has to be that slow and steady progress. But the body reacts so quickly. You feel better so quickly. And that's the common thread with all of my clients. It's like, I can't believe how quickly I feel better. And we're not making massive changes. It's one step at a time.
Love that. It's encouraging, right? Like, again, you guys can do it. It's nothing that's unbearable.
Oh, no, and it's funny, Devin, once you start adding those good things in, it all of a sudden you're reaching. You don't have to make that conscious decision. Oh, I should grab the carrots instead of the cookie. It's your body is asking for that. Your body says, "Oh, I think I want a salad." It's really interesting how your whole chemistry starts to change for the better.
Love that. Is there a sticking point that you see a common trend with clients? Is there a mental block? Is there something that you see often that, you might be something to think about?
Usually when anyone's starting to make changes, you're changing habit, right? And it takes a while to get those habits to set. And it's usually about 2 to 3 weeks in that's when you start, your brain starts telling you, oh, you don't need to do that. Oh, you can have this, you can have that. So it's kind of right in there. When I do a program, I usually do 6 weeks. That's a good amount of time because we can work through those things. So you just want to be aware of it. You want to be aware of what I said, that critter brain, because if you're trying to make habits happen and you find yourself talking yourself out of it, it is that amygdala. Your body doesn't like change. It fights change. It's basically saying to you, I've kept you alive all these years, just don't rock the boat, right? So it's being aware of that. And it's a different time frame for everybody, but it's usually a couple weeks in. Most people can get on a diet and depends on what they're doing. If it's super dramatic change, they're only going to last 3 or 4 days usually. But if it's, this slower process, usually about 2 or 3 weeks in, your body kind of, or your brain together, starts to throw in your own roadblocks. And so it's be aware of it. And what I tell my clients is, just when you're reaching for something, say to yourself, can I make a better choice? Even if it's a slightly better choice. You mentioned that in the beginning. So can I make a better choice? And if you can, then do it. So it is definitely a process. And like you said, sometimes it's good to have a coach in your corner, someone kind of egging you on and send you a little reminder text. And you know I've
Well, it's
had
got
clients that had a really hard time just adding in water, right? So I would text them and I'd have my glass of water and I go, cheers, that's all I had to say, right? And it's just a reminder. So yeah.
love that. Well, and I love asking that because I think, that is the part of it, right? Is we can't go to the gym tomorrow and be fit. We can't change our eating habits tomorrow and be healthy, right? Like you got to stick with it. Your body's going to have to adjust. And again, this is one of those areas where, if you're looking for a reset, a coach holding you accountable and guiding, right? Because there's so much information to sort through on what's good, what's bad, what do I need, what don't I need, right? So love that. Can we talk about I'd love to get your perspective on a few things. So first, I'd love to hear your perspective on fasting. So I know it's something I hear a lot more of and people are talking about it. Is there a place for it? Is there not a place for it? If you don't want to talk about it, no worries, but just love to get your opinion.
You know what? I love fasting, but a specific type of fasting, the intermittent fasting. Have you heard of intermittent, as
Yep.
opposed to just fasting? I'm gonna, not eat for, 3 days and drink pineapple juice or whatever. There's all sorts of trends out there, right? But intermittent fasting can be a way of life. I do intermittent fasting at least 5 days a week. And once you get into the routine of it, it's really easy. And why I love it is I prefer the what you call the 8-16. So you're eating in an 8-hour window. So many people think, oh, you can't eat. No, you're eating. The goal is to get as much nutrition in your body as possible. Going and buying a double cheeseburger and fries during your 8-hour window probably isn't the best idea. but even with that, it does have benefits. So you are resting your whole digestive system for 16 hours, right? And you can choose your window. So if you have dinner at 6 at night and then you wait, right, until 16 hours after that. So let's see, what would that be? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the morning, right? First grade, I use my fingers.
Right. I say,
um,
don't challenge me that much. Come on.
yeah. But what you're doing when you rest your system like that is tremendous benefits, huge benefits. And the results, you lower your insulin rates, and that is a whole nother topic. I could go on for an hour, is when we eat carbs and insulin spikes and what it does to your body. But by doing, eating in an 8-hour window and resting your body those other 16 hours, and 8 of them you're sleeping, so it's really not as hard as people, want to tell themselves. I do it a lot with my clients. I guide them through it, but is it lowers the insulin levels. It lowers the basic stress that's going on in your body. It helps your body be more efficient, right? It increases your metabolism. All of those things that we want, right? And so then you just plan your 8-hour window. So I do love it. It's a great way to lose weight if you need to lose weight. It helps people maintain weight, and it gives us a little bit more focus on what we're eating. And really, one of the best things is it gets us out of our bad habits, because so many of us eat when we're not hungry. We're just snacking, 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 and our body never gets a break, right? So when you do this conscious effort of intermittent fasting, um, you're paying attention to when you're eating. And then there's a great app. It's on my phone. It's an intermittent fasting app, and I use it all the time. And it's called Zero Calories. It's free. So it's a great app, and you just click on it, and then it starts counting down the hours, right? And it's that extra little oomph to help you, right? It's like, okay, you got 2 more hours to go, right? And so I think it's a great way to go.
Great. That's why I say I love getting perspective, because I know what some people are probably hearing about, right? And it's like, where's it fit? What's the mentality behind it? And I do love that concept of like really making you think through, hey, if this is my window, then what am I going to put in the window? Because now I have to be intentional, right? I can't just grab the midnight snack or, roll out of bed and make whatever. Like I need to kind of have a plan, because I have to have a timeline around it too.
Yeah. I mean, planning, with business, I mean, that's the foundation of success. Well, it's the same with our health. You do have to plan.
What about water? So you mentioned water, and I know there's some challenges there. So maybe we get a challenge going here. Maybe that could be another great takeaway. Is what's the minimum someone should be drinking a day? And why? What's the importance of that?
That's usually where I start with my client. One of the first questions is, how much water? And I didn't bring my, oh, yes, I do have my water with me. Is how much water are you drinking? Most people are not drinking enough. They're just not getting enough. And why is it important? Because water does a multitude of things, but one thing you can think of is it's flushing out toxins. Period. You're getting the junk out. And excuse me, I'm going to have a quick drink. Sorry.
Do it. I say it's on topic right here. I'll take a sip too.
Okay, great. All of a sudden, my throat got dry. So with water, you want to focus on at least half your body's weight in ounces. Okay, so say someone weighs 150 pounds, 75 ounces. Now, maybe they're only drinking 10 ounces a day. So
Ooh.
you start with where you are. And I have clients that drink that least amount of water, right? So you want to think of a dry sponge. If you have a dry sponge and you run water over it, the water is going to run right off, right? So the same thing is going to basically happen with your body. You're going to have to go to the bathroom really often as you start to increase your water. I want you to increase it slowly. You can't go from 0 to 50 all at once. So, if you're drinking 10 ounces, and try and have one more glass tomorrow, right? And do that for a couple of days. So maybe you get up to 20 ounces, and then add another glass the next day. So you're slowly adding in that water, and the cells are going to learn how to take it up, right? They're going to absorb that water, and then you just keep working towards your goal. And everyone I coach can do it. It's that conscious effort and being aware of it, and there's just all different tricks. You have a glass of water by your toothbrush. I coach people, have a glass of water by the coffee pot, because if you're drinking caffeine, you have to add in more water. So if you're having an 8-ounce cup of coffee, you have to add 8 more ounces of water, because caffeine takes the water out. right? But if you put your water bottle or glass of water next to the coffee pot before you pour that, cup of coffee, drink 8 ounces of water. And you can get it down you pretty quickly, right? I mean, try and drink, 5 ounces all at once, just, several gulps and you got it down, right? So half your body's weight in ounces is usually the standard, and the busier you are, the more active you are, the hotter it is, you'll need more.
Perfect. Again, great starting point, right? So let's give your body a chance, and we probably can't move the needle if we don't understand where we're at. So tomorrow's challenge, if you're listening to this, is probably pay attention, right? How much water are you going to drink tomorrow? And just keep track of it. Like be intentional, right? Did you drink water when you woke up? Did you drink water at the gym? If you're going to the gym, right, that intake's probably gonna have to go up. Or heading into summer months, that might change as well. So love that advice. And yeah, great.
You know, one really easy way is if you have a water bottle, like this is 25 ounces. So it makes it really easy to keep track of it. So you can keep, okay, I've had 4 of those today, right? You know where you are, as opposed to, a sip here or sip there. You can't, it's harder to keep track of. So try and use a standard, water bottle so that you have an idea whether it's 10 ounces or 20 ounces. That way you'll know.
And build into your routine. So like I found, because I know that was something I struggled with as well. I have my water bottle on my desk, right? So it's a 25 ounce or two. The background's not helping, right? But it's a 25 ouncer. And what I find is, I need to 4 times a day get up and fill the thing up. Now I drink water in the morning and when I get home too, but that's my kind of, hey, take a break, get up from your desk, which you need to do anyways, right? Stretch, walk, go to the water machine, fill the thing up, like give yourself some permission. And you know what, if there's something in there, chug it and let's go, right? Like let's go get it done, right?
Exactly. You just got to talk to yourself and do it. I also say set a timer. Everyone's got timers on their phones. Set a timer every hour, have another drink, but use the same bottle so that you know how much you've had,
Love
right?
that.
Just to get you in the habit.
Such good tips. Again, I don't know what's going to resonate with whoever's listening, but there's been enough ideas that there's probably a piece here that you can add to your routine that'll start moving the needle forward. So let's transition to business. You left the education sector, which is awesome. Thank you for that. Teaching is wonderful. I love giving back through teaching as well. Hence why we do these. I don't know how you did first graders. Kudos to you on that.
It was fun.
But let's talk business, right? So, I mean, you obviously have started your own business. You've been networking and growing. What advice do you have to anyone that's looking to start a business? What tips or what's something you learned that you want someone to hear?
I think the number one, and I'm sure you'll agree to this, is you have to follow your heart. You have to find something you love doing. I love teaching. It's been my whole life, right? And sharing information and seeing people have success, that's what drives me. But everyone has their own passion, and business is a lot of work. I mean, you've done a lot of training. I've taken courses with you and I love it. I love what you offer. And you're the first one to tell folks there's a lot of moving pieces, and so you have to have a dedication to it. And so I think the number one piece is find something you can really enjoy doing, that you feel proud of, and that you're happy to spend your time. Because when you're spending your time working, if you're doing something you really enjoy, well, then it's not work. It's just not. And teaching, the same thing. It's a ton of time. Most people don't realize. I put in 10-hour days, period, every day, doing whatever needed to be done, but I loved it, so it was fine, right? So I think for people starting a business, that's got to be number one. And then getting educated, learning from people who have done it before, who have the expertise, because it's going to save you so much time.
Love that. Well, I told you before we hopped on, right? I love the answer to the question because it's always something that's resonates so well. And anytime I do a strategy session with someone, you're right. That's exactly where we started. And people get a little uncomfortable, right? I sit there and go like, What are your personal goals? What do you enjoy doing? What do you hate doing? Where are we going? Why are you doing it? And say, well, we're here to talk business. We'll get there, right? But why are we here? And what do you actually love, right? So when I was kind of revamping consulting, my tagline is making business fun again.
Nice.
And the intention behind that is, are we really enjoying what we're doing? Because in business, we made the choice, right? Sometimes in careers and jobs, we have to take what we can get to make money and pay bills. Understood. I get it. I was there. I think we've all been there with multiple jobs, right? But when you go into business and you're spending money and time on yourself, choose something that you really truly are passionate about, right? Make sure it aligns with the skills and things you like doing. Make sure it's an industry that you want to learn and be in, and make sure that you're serving people in a way that resonates with who you are. And in your case, I love that your vehicle is health and it allows you to continue teaching and see the success. So thank you. Phenomenal takeaway there. Please pay attention to that. And, if you catch yourself, staring at the wall going, why am I here and what am I doing? It's probably a good time to relever, right? And sit there and really think about like, hey, where am I at on the journey? Because sometimes it's okay. Like it's perfectly okay to get rid of one venture and start another. It's okay. I give you permission, right? You're okay. Pivot, right? Same thing with careers. If you catch yourself in a thing where you're checking in and checking out for a paycheck and there's really no fulfillment anymore, maybe the paycheck's not worth it. Maybe you should look for something that's going to fulfill you.
And that is such good advice. I mean, life is a journey, and life is change. I mean, there's nothing, static, right, about life. It's always changing and fluxing, and you just really need to pay attention to those things, and what drives you, what makes you excited in life.
Perfect. Let's talk networking and then we'll wrap up. So it's actually a question I haven't asked on any other ones, but we met through BNI, right? So we met through an intentional networking opportunity that we spent money on to be a part of, to intentionally build our network, right? What is a group like that? What has that done for your business? There's so many out there. Again, I'm not going to endorse just one, but networking in general, like what's your advice there? What's it done for your business?
I think it is the best foundation for any business, because word of mouth is the most powerful advertising you can have. I've tried Facebook ads and this and that and dabbled, looking at different options, and really, what you get out of a networking group, if you can build relationships, and that's what it's about. You have to build trust, right? And there's different organizations that allow you to do it. BNI is one that's excellent, but it's getting to know people, allowing them to get to know you. If you can offer value, to others, then you are going to be set up for referrals. When someone talks to someone who needs X, Y, and Z, you're going to be front of mind, if you've built that trust and built that relationship. But you have to be involved. You have to, be a part of that team, basically.
If you work it, it works, right?
Exactly.
And that's anything, right? It was interesting. We were talking about network marketing, and we're probably going to do a whole panel on just that, because I'm a huge advocate and I think there's such a need for it. And phenomenal products, right? There's so many companies that have great products, but that was the conversation, is like people are frustrated because it doesn't work. And it's like, yeah, but you got to work, right? Like you don't just show up and make a bunch of money. Like you actually have to go out and find something you're passionate about. But it's the same thing with networking. I see people all the time, whether it's a weekly networking meeting or a big event that they're going to, or a conference, and you go in and you do what most people who are not comfortable in those environments, you find food and water, right? Which is great. Then you give yourself an excuse to find the bathroom, so you have some solitude. Then you find some more food and water, and then you find the three people in the room, and then you leave.
Exactly. You're not going to build much that way.
Right? Like you got to work it. And if that's uncomfortable for you, then that's where starting with a networking group is highly, highly recommended. You've got to go in like a BNI or a LaTip or some sort of weekly environment where it becomes easier, because there's nothing cold about it. You start to know the room, you understand who's there. It's not intimidating. Like if you're not an extrovert or you're scared of networking, start there, right? Now, if you're an extrovert, then get out there, shake hands and kiss babies everywhere, right? But you gotta be active in network. So often when I talk to people about sales, it's like, well, I'm running marketing, I'm doing ads. Okay, cool, right? That's all the hope that you're gonna get inbound, right? That people are gonna start calling you and raising their hand, but you've got to go out there and build relationships. And you talked about it. The way you do that is you add value, right? Value can be your product or service. Value could be making connections and giving referrals. There's so many ways to add value. That's another key to that equation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, and the better you do that, again, like I said, building trust. You start referring other people, they're going to be referring you, you do a quality job, and you're on your way. To me, it is the best way to build business.
Love it. Well, we're right at the end of our time. Is there anything else you want to share? Any tips, anything that's on your heart that you just want someone to hear today? Anything sitting there?
It's just with health, I truly hope that you'll just take a step, just a step today and a step tomorrow. And, just try to add in something healthy, whether it's a handful of spinach into an omelet. Just be conscious about taking care of your health because it is your number one asset. No matter what your goals are, what you want to accomplish in life, if you don't have your health, you can't do any of it, and ask anyone who's sick. People are suffering from all sorts of things, and they just cannot be productive. So, now is the time. Today is the day, not tomorrow, today. And just add something in that is going to help improve your health. And pretty soon you're going to have this snowball effect and you will have an upward spiral instead of a downward spiral. So just take a step. That's all it is, a little step at a time.
Take a step, right? Can't win the race if we don't start. Can't eat the elephant if we don't take a bite, right?
Exactly.
Like
All those
whatever.
good sayings.
Yeah, pick an analogy, right? But like the key is take action, right? And I think that I really appreciated the water conversation. That's one that it's easy, guys. Like just track it tomorrow. Let's be intentional about it, and that just take a step. So thank you so much. Always appreciate your time. Love our conversations. Some really really good information. Hopefully people saw value. Below this video will be Julie's contact information, so the different social platforms you connect with her on. There'll also be a click here link. If you click that, put your name and email in, you can write a message to Julie. She'll get that and connect with you. I know, as she mentioned, she loves building relationships. So if you want to connect with her, reach out and or even look at working with her. Feel free to do so. And let's get you guys healthy and give you some more energy so you can conquer the world. So Julie, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks, Devin.